Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video I'm going to demonstrate you the RMI application. Actually it's a simple application I'm going to build it. Before we start writing our RMI program, let's quickly talk about some of the important classes and methods that we are going to use it in our application. If you understand these things and you can easily understand the whole code when I type it. Okay, so that is why before writing my program, I just want to explain the classes and methods which I'm going to use it in our application. Okay, the first one is the Java RMI remote. Actually, the remote is one of the classes which is available in the package called java.rmi. Actually, this is one of the foundation of RMI. It's an interface that tells that a class can be called remotely. Meaning that which can be another JVM or another computer can able to call this remote interfaces. So whenever we create a remote interface, we must extend this remote class. Okay. It doesn't have any methods inside it. It's just a marker interface. It's just a marker interface. Actually, the remote class, it doesn't have any methods. Just like a marker interface. Okay, but it signals a Java RMI system saying that it's an interface contains a method that can be called over the network. So whatever the methods I mentioned in an interface, so that can be called over the network. Okay, it's like putting a label saying that this is one of the available methods and you can call it through remote. Okay. And the next one is remote exception. Actually, it's a kind of checked exception used almost in all the remote method. So when we create an interface, we have to whatever the methods you have been using it, all must calls this remote exception. Okay. So why? Because when we make a remote call, there might be some error might be caused. It may cause some error. So for an example, like network failure, or server might be crashed, or some connection timed out exceptions. So every remote method must throw this remote exception so that we can force the Java to handle this error properly when we get an error. Suddenly if might be happened in the server crash or something, so we can handle it properly, right? So for an example, think like you have been calling someone over the phone. Sometimes the line might be gets out due to some network failure, or you may not get some signal when we called your friend or something, right? So that is the case happens in the remote application also. Right, so there might be server may not be responding properly. There might be some cable failures, cable network failures or something. So this can be happens in some circumstances. To avoid that, to handle that, we have to throws this remote exceptions in all the methods. Whatever the methods you have been using, it must be handled it properly. Okay. The next, the important class called as a unicast remote object. Actually, this class is very important. Whenever the server-side class extends a unicast remote object, it becomes the remote object so that the other JVM can able to receive the calls. Okay, so that is a unicast remote object, and along with that, actually it also responsible for the connection establishment. Like for an example, it opens a TCP/IP port for the remote object, and as well as it exports the object, meaning that it makes an object available to the client, and also it handles the sending and receiving the messages over the network. And so just like that, right? So actually it's setting up the communication line between the server and client. So that is a responsibility for the unicast remote object. And when we create our remote class, that must it must extend a unicast object, and at the same time we usually write the super constructor, super in the constructor. Actually it is needed because it exports the object at runtime. It's like saying that the Java make this object available for the incoming calls. Okay, so if you are not using the super, then the object won't be connected to the network. So that the super has to be called inside the constructor. Okay, so when we create a remote object, we have to create one constructor, and within the constructor you need to call the super method. Okay, so that is the most important thing. And the next one is like a naming. This one is very useful for both the server and client. Actually, so assume that it is like it is similar to the phone application in your mobile. You can use it for saving the phone number, contacts, and as well as you can look up the contacts also. So saving as well as for the look up the contacts. So what the naming will do, it helps to register and locate the remote objects in your RMI registry. Okay, and it provides some important methods like a rebind, lookup, and unbind. The rebind method used on the server side, the rebind method which is used on the server side, usually it binds or updates a remote object in an RMI registry with a given name. So whatever the name you have been mentioned here, that was registered in an RMI registry. Okay, and likewise we have the lookup method. The lookup method which is used for the client side. Look at here, actually the rebind method for the server side, and lookup method which is used on the client side. It looks up the remote object in the RMI registry with the corresponding name. So whatever the name you have been mentioned, it just go and find the method, the object which is available in the registry or not, right? So once we have the once we get the registry, once we have the reference object, so immediately the stub has been created. Okay, stub has been created, and that was assigned to the client. Okay, and what is that? The unbind method. Usually that will remove the object. So whatever the objects you have been, it was stored in RMI registry, so that have been removed permanently. That is called unbind method. Okay, and the next one is called as a locate registry. Actually this helps us to create or get an handle to the RMI registry, just like the what you can say, it is like a holding of your reference object. Okay, actually this is what the place where you are going to store the remote objects. Okay, and it's like a mini database that can keep track of all the registered remote object on your application. So remember this, the locate registry dot create registry. Okay, and just like that we have another one called as a registry. Actually this method, once again, the create registry, yeah, so sorry, I forget to tell about the create registry. Actually that create registry, it's a method which will create a new registry on the given port. So whatever the port you have been mentioned, that will create a new registry for the given port. Okay, and it's like saying that start a new phone directory on the port number called as a 1099. So we will be using this whenever we start the server. Okay, and the registry, actually it's an interface, represents actual RMI. You can use it for binding, rebinding, and as well as for the lookup object directly through the code. Look at here, the bind, rebind, lookup, and unbind methods. So you can use it. So for an example, you can use this code in order to bind your reference object as a name. Okay, so you can look at here, for an example, the Hello server, it's a alias name for the particular object. Okay, and finally the stub. Actually, the stub act as a proxy on a client side, and likewise another one is called as a skeleton. It is acting as a proxy for the server side. The stub, it's also a kind of object that lives on the client side. You need not to write it manually. It doesn't have any code at all, which can be automatically managed by the RMI. It was acting like a middleman between the server and client. So whenever the client calls a method, the stub sends that request to the server, and then immediately it's wait for the reply or an acknowledgement from the server. Okay, so so the client always feels like calling a local object. So it doesn't feels like the object was located in remote places and all. It might be felt like that the object was located in the same place. Okay, but actually it is residing on the server side or some other place. But the client felt like that felt like the object was stored inside the local server. Okay. Okay, before we start typing, let's already I mentioned, right? We are going to create some small Java RMI application that shows how one computer and another Java program which is residing on another computer that can able to communicate each other. Okay, so let's understand let's build some applications like this. Okay, to make it simple, we have some let's take the same analogy which I have talked in the previous video. So assume that you have been the manager as a client, and your assistant on the server is working on another office, right? The assistant's working on another office, and you are the manager, act as a client. You are going to give some instruction to the assistant. Okay, saying that you might be saying that ask them to say hello. Okay, so assume that you as a client you have been saying you have been informing the assistant to say hello. Okay, so we'll see how do we implement all these things. In our RMI application, we'll have 4 Java files in order to demonstrate this application. Each one plays a small role in the system. Let's see each one of them. Hello.java actually it defines what the task the remote assistants can do, right? So whatever the remote assistants can do, so that can be mentioned inside this interfaces. And similarly, the remote object implementation, that's a second file. This is what the actual assistant who can perform the task. Okay, and as well as we have to extend this special class called as a unique as remote objects when we create this Hello implementation. Okay, and the RMI server and RMI client. The RMI server, it's a third file. This will create an RMI registry, and you can imagine like a phone book for the remote object. You can register once we created the remote object that can be registered by using the registry. Okay, and so once it is registered, the client can able to discover it, and they can able to find it, and they can make a call to the remote object. And finally, the RMI client, this is the last file which act as a manager. The clients look up the assistant name from the RMI registry, and just like searching the contact from the phone app. Okay, so let's build the code. I have been using the Eclipse for demonstrating this application. Let's build one by one. As I mentioned before, I'm going to create 4 files. One is an Hello implementation. Actually, the Hello, it's a remote interface. Hello implementation, it's a actual remote object which has some implementation part, and the server will create a registry and binds a object, and the client will makes a call to the remote object. So that is what the thing I'm going to do it, and we have 4 files. Let's see how do we create it. So initially I'm creating a project. Assume that it is like a RMI program. Just I made a finish, and let me create 4 files. The first one is an interface, right? So for that, right click the project name, new interface. So for that, the name of the interface is called as an hello, and finish it. When we create an interface, 2 major things you have to be keep it in mind. The first one is extends remote. This is mandatory. As I told you before, I'm telling the Java that this interface is a special interface, and it can this interface can be allowed to call remotely. Okay, so which means that the other computer or other JVM can able to call this hello interfaces. Okay, and look at here, I have been getting this error. The reason is the corresponding package is not been imported yet, so that is why I'm getting this error. So just place the cursor on the top of the remote, and it will show some solution in order to reduce your workload, and it's saying that 5 quick fixes. Import the remote by importing the package called java.rmi. Okay, and now let me build some task for the assistant. Okay, what is the task is saying hello. Okay, whenever the client calls, it has to respond as a message called as a saying hello. Okay, so that I'm just creating one method called public, and either, okay, let me go with some without parameter first. Void say hello. I'm sorry, say hello, and within bracket nothing is there. And look at here, every method, another important key points you need to remember. Every method, so whatever the methods you have been declaring here, that all method must throws the remote exception. That's it. Put a semicolon, because the reason is this interface does not have any implementation. That's it. We have created it's a simple code which has been created one interface called as an hello, and the second program I'm going to create it called as a hello implementation. So this one going to be the class right now, hello IMPL, and finish it. And now the implementation, actually this is what the real object I'm going to make it. For the first thing, extends a unique cast remote object. So look at here, you might be doing some mistakes. Press the control space so that it will list out all the options you can make it. And look at here, the first one I'm choosing the first one called as a unique cast remote object, so that this interface can communicate over the network. Okay, and at the same time I'm trying to implement the interface. Look at here, implementing the interface called as an hello. That's it. Now you can see here I'm getting an error, which means that I did not have any constructor here. So what I want to do here, the constructor you can call the default constructor, and by default it has been written as a super method. So leave it, because this is necessary, the most important part. Okay, and again I'm getting the error. Place the cursor on the error and look at here, add unimplemented methods. So this is what the actual code which has been returned to the client. So for that I'm telling that sysO hello from server, hello from server. That's it. It's a simple one. That's it. We build an interface and as well as an implementation. Actually, this file hello implementation, it's a real object. Okay, real remote object. Okay, and next one is server. For that, RMI server, and just click on the public static void main, finish it, and here the first step one. Step 1, create registry, and step 2, create an instance of remote object. So in my example, the remote object, it's a hello implementation, right? So hello implementation, it's my remote object. And step 3, after creating the remote object, register and binds a remote object as a name. Okay, and step 4, once we all done, that's it. Nothing to do it after. Only 3 lines of code, that's enough. If you want, you can additionally you can write some output statement in order to tell the programmer that the server is ready for the access. Okay, now the first one is create the registry. So how do we create it? There is a class interface called registry, reg equal to locate registry dot create registry. So inside that you can type some port number, and this will throw some error, some exception. Look at here, it is an unhandled exception. Actually, it is a checked exception. It is another checked exception called as a remote exception. So you can handle it by throwing the declaration, so that I don't want to make it confuse of try block, try catch block and everything. Okay, so I just want to make the application as a readable one. The second step is creating the instance. Hello implementation h equal to new hello implementation. That's it. I have created an interface. I have created an interface. Instance for the remote object. Okay. So now, so that's it. Step 3. So register. How do we register? By calling the naming class. By calling the naming, you can able to create the registry. Okay. So how do we do that? Like look at here, naming dot rebind. Actually, there are a lot of methods like bind. Look at here. So bind is there, lookup is there, rebind and unbind. Actually, you can also go with bind option, but the problem is when we run the same code again, you might be getting some error due to the same port number. Okay. To avoid that, you can go for the rebind method. So this rebind method, which will delete the existing one and it will create the new one. Okay. So that is the naming dot rebind. So inside the naming dot rebind, you have to mention where it is located, where the server was, where the object which is located. Okay. So look at here, I have created an object, right? So I'm going to use this object in my rebind method. So for that, what I can do here, we have to use some port number called as an RMI, called as a localhost slash hello server. That's it. And the second object, what is an object? It is like an H, right? So I'm just passing this object. That's it. And this will throw some error. Look at here. It's called as a malformed URL exception. Just throw it. That's it. So now I can able to handle the remote exception as well as the malformed URL exception, right? So that's it. I've been ready for the server has been ready. Simply I'm just notifying the client saying that the reply, the server has been ready for ready to execute my application. Okay. So here I'm just saying that server has been ready. Server is ready, so that the client can make a call. So that's it. My program, only 3 lines of code, only 3 to 4 lines of code, so that you can easily implement this application. So first I'm creating the registry and creating an instance of a remote object. So I'm just passing this reference object to my rebind method in order to get the reference object. Okay. And as well as I'm just trying to store this hello server object into my registry. So this is what the code for storing the record into the registry. Okay. So then the next one is like a client program. Actually I'm getting some error. Let's check what is an error. Save this application. Yeah, there is no error. Okay, now let's create a client program called as a RMI client. So again I'm choosing the main function, click here, and the first one is again, so what is the steps? Step 1, look up the remote object. By the name, you can also use it by the name in RMI registry. That's it. So this is what my first step. So what I'm trying to do here, I just want to look up the remote object by using the name. Okay, so already I created a name here, the name called hello server. I'm going to use the same name in my client machine also. Okay, so how do we create it? Here I have to call hello h equal to, again I am using the naming keyword, naming dot lookup. Okay, so remember this point, in a server you have to use a naming dot bind or rebind in order to register the object into the registry. And in an RMI client you have to use a method name called lookup method, so which is going to find the remote object inside the registry database. Okay, and naming dot lookup, so what I'm going to find it, the same thing, RMI colon / localhost / hello server. So try to use the same letters, like for an example, if you mentioned, actually it is like a camel case letter, it seems like a camel case letter been used. So it's the hello starts with capital 1 and the server starts with capital 1, right? So you have to use the same name on the client also. Use the same name. Okay, and this will throw an error, like sorry, this one is casting. Okay, I'm just converting this reference into the hello object. Okay, so now, sorry, I forget to put a semicolon, and now it may throw some exceptions. Look at here, add throws declaration called as a malformed URL and as well as a remote exception, not bound exception. There are 3 exception which has been removed. Okay, so now yeah, that's it. We got some reference object, and yeah, so already we got some reference object, right? So that simply what you can do, you can call the method. So what is a method? Like a h, okay, sorry, h dot say hello. That's it, finish. So what I did here, I'm just finding the hello server on a registry. I'm just telling the server registry to find the object name called hello server. If it is available, that will be returned to the h, right? If it is not available, it will throw the exception called malformed URL exception. So in my case, I have the reference object, and with that reference object, I am calling the method called say hello. That's it. So everything is ready right now, and make sure that all the program have been compiled properly. If you have been using the older version, you have to call a method called Java C and all the file name and all. So that would be the hectic one, and the IDE makes it very simple. By default, everything it is like, look at here, build automatically. So whenever I am typing the code, automatically the code have been built. Okay, and what I have to do, first go to the server, right click, run as and Java application. So now my server has been ready right now, and in the meanwhile, go to the client, right click, run as Java application. That's it. Now look at here, hello from server. So you can also pass some messages and you can retrieve the data and everything. You can also do it. Okay, so this is what the simple example what I shown you for the RMI program. So just like that, you can also write an application for RMI client and server for the factorial value. You can perform some calculator applications like an addition, subtraction, multiplication, and all those things. So just like that, you can also experiment on your own code. Okay, so that's all about the demo project. Thank you all, and we'll see you on next video.